Hey guys, welcome back to Whitty's Gear Reviews. Today we're going to be looking at a EDC pouch. Now this one kind of goes without having to go into a backstory. Anybody that's dabbled in EDC or preparedness or survival or anything like that is familiar with the name Maxpedition. But if you're not, some of the best packs that you could get for the money out there on the market. Now, why Maxpedition? Well, there's a lot of reasons, right? Look at thousands upon thousands of reviews of this product on the build-out capabilities of all their different size bags. They literally, in my opinion, have a bag size for almost every need that you could have. And after we get into the build-out, we'll kind of show you another Maxpedition bag and how I kind of built that one out. And we're going to go into the unique build out that I'm going to do for this particular bag. The need that I have that I'm going to fulfill with this bag. Now, disclaimer, this was sent to me by Maxpedition, but one of the things I love about Maxpedition is they want you to do an honest review. Let people know what you really think about their bag. When a lot of companies tell you to do a honest review, that usually means they're proud of their bag. They know they use good materials, and they'll stand behind their product. You know, Maxpedition has been in business since 2020 or 2003. They're a trusted brand, and they're a big name in EDC gear, right? I know they use premium materials in all their gear that they make. And that's just a big plus, knowing that you're going to get something that's made well. If you look at this bag, you can tell by just looking at it, feeling it, getting it in your hand, the quality that goes into this bag. This is one of their bigger EDC bags or pouches, which is the Maxpedition Beefy. Right? This one is in the green, the OD green, but that's another good thing is they sell these bags in multiple different colors. Like I said, this one's the OD green. They come in black, khaki, foliage green, and wolf gray. So there's almost a bag color for everybody out there. And a lot of people know that watch my channel. I am big on khakis and OD green, more traditional colors. I do have some black bags, but usually if I'm going to have a black bag, I'll put something of a contrasting color on the inside of it so I can see it. But one thing about these bags, they're using 150 denier nylon, right?
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
So you're going to have that longevity with this bag. It is going to last. It's going to be around. My other Maxpedition bag, which you'll see later in this video, I've had for a long time. And it was actually sent to me by one of our channel family members, Brent. Again, 100% thank you for that. It's been a great bag. I've enjoyed having it. But, like I said, this one was sent by Maxpedition. I want to hopefully do it honor to the bag in this review because it's a good bag. And you'll get into why I got it, right? What I've had planned for it. You know, one thing about these bags is they're using 550 cordage for your zipper pulls. They're gutted, so they're not super stiff and bulky. They're easy to hang on to. And they're using genuine YKK zippers. The ease of opening these bags, even when the thing is completely full, right? It's super simple to unzip this bag. Now, just looking at the outside, there's not a lot of pockets, right? You do have this web pocket on the front that has a Velcro on it and their logo, which you'd be surprised how much stuff you could fit up front in this pocket. You have the 2x4 loop Velcro here for your morale patches, identification tags, whatever you want to use. And when they sent me this bag, they also sent me this little guy. We're going to go ahead and put him on. Which is, you know, that's cool that they sent me the little 3D. It's just a little bug out beetle. Which I think's cool. We're going to stick that on there, and I have no problem leaving that on this bag. That's how it's going to stay when I build it out. But all the materials, the sewings, they added double stitching in the areas that need it. They do have the PALS webbing or Molly webbing here on the back, so you can put some quick releases to put it on the side of a backpack, the back of a backpack. On any kind of bag that you have, whether it's a sling bag or whatever, that you can attach anything, any other bag to with Molly. I mean, you can do that with this bag. I usually don't do that. I usually like the fact that they have the heavy duty carry handle, which I'll stick this down in a bag and I've got that good handle and I'll just yank it out and go upon my way with it. Or it's super easy to carry for like your everyday toolkit. And let's talk about some uses, right? I have seen people utilize these for every different kind of EDC scenario that you could think of. First aid, water pouches, holding all their Sawyers in there and your different filters and your backwash kits. Seen people fill them with fire starting kits, first aid, tool kits, electronic kits. You can build this thing to any, you know, almost any kind of EDC situation that you would fit. My other Maxpedition is a toolkit. I've seen a lot of first aid kits, but I'm not doing that. I'm going to do something a little bit different. And I haven't seen one per se. And I think, why do what everybody else has done? I have a need that's outside of that, and I'm going to show you what that is. But all in all, really good construction. Let's get into the inside now that we talked about the outside. What I like about these bags is they do 100% fold open, so you can see all your gear. Now, there are levels to this bag where you could have stuff stacked on top of stuff. And I don't know if you don't have a Maxpedition bag, I will tell you they are deceiving on their size compared to what you could stick in them. You could pack these bags completely full and still zip it. You know, I've seen some people where I'm like, holy crap, there's nowhere they're going to close that. And you just fold it over and push it down and zip it around. And man, next thing you know, people are carrying an entire toolkit in here where they could break down a car engine with just what they have in this bag. That's an exaggeration, but I've seen a lot of stuff packed into these bags. So you're going to have the really good elastic bands here, right? So you have two different sizes. You have the bigger bands here, which easily will hold a knife in there of varying sizes, a multi-tool, different size tools like some of the Knipex water pliers, anything like that. And then you have these smaller ones that easily hold stuff like pins and straws, whatever, lighters, super glue, you name it. I've seen them shoved into these things, right? Electronics, people put a bunch of the little, what are these things called? Like USB thumb drives, different connectors that you can put on there, right? If it's an electrical bag, you shove your little connectors in there. Just a bunch of different uses. You do have your key ring or your D ring that you can use for keys. You do have another little spot here that's made out of 550 cord to attach other stuff. You have this big open compartment here in the back. You can add stuff in, more flat carry stuff. You do have another piece of webbing here for bigger stuff. I see a lot of people when they use this for a water kit, They're tossing their Sawyer squeeze over here, which fits. You can see how thick, how wide this thing will get, right? Like I said, these things are deceiving on how fat they actually get once you get all your gear shoved in there. And then on this side, it's a repeat of this, but it's in a different fashion. So you can see stuff layered. Your eye's not just drawn to all this stuff stacked, right? You have stuff going this way and stuff going this way, and I think that's a good layout for this particular bag. And then you've got this zipper pouch here. So if you had smaller stuff that you didn't want to fall out, right? When you unzip this thing, if you had a bunch of small little electronics or cables or anything like that, small little tools, rulers, anything like that that you don't want to fall out, that won't fit in any of the nylon webbing. Say for instance you're using this for with your map kit, right? So you can have a compass in here, some dividers, all that stuff. You know, you could put stuff like this that's flat in here that you don't want just falling off, that doesn't, or falling out, that doesn't really fit inside of any of these webbings. So you can put it there, you can slide it in here, field notes, anything like that. You can slide those in those pockets. If you just wanted some extra cash, right, in a bag, a survival bag, first aid or whatever, you could shove that in the back. There's just 100 different uses for the zipper pocket. But that's pretty much this Maxpedition Beefy as a whole. You're looking at the total volume in this bag is 116 cubic inches. That just sounds, 116 cubic inches. It just sounds like a lot. And it actually is in a setup like this, right? Which is roughly almost 2 liters of storage space. 1.9 liters of storage space. And we're going to get into how I'm going to build this out and what I built it for. I think it's an interesting concept. Let me know what you think about it, and we'll go ahead and build this bag out, and we'll bring you back. All right, guys, now that I've got it packed out, I kind of wanted to show you my thought process on what I did here. Now, keep in mind, like I said, this bag could be used for a ton of different, situations. Seen a lot of first aid bags, seen a lot of tech bags, tool bags, EDC carry, a mix between all of those things kind of shoved in here. But one thing that I thought that I've been needing to try to do it better is to come out with a gear repair kit. I do a lot of hiking, camping, hunting, stuff like that. And I do have some stuff in pockets of my bag for gear repair, but I really didn't have a kit. So I kind of use this Maxpedition bag to make that kit out of. So it's super, I didn't want it to be totally full so I could add stuff like, more stuff as it came up. This is just a start, guys. I will say once we get into it, there are some things that I want to add that I know I need to add, and I just haven't received those products yet to put in here. But we're going to go over the thought process of what I think this Maxpedition bag, another option for how you could use this bag that's not what other people have really done before. And this works for me, and it's a perfect bag. This is a perfect size. The way that grab handle is, everything works perfect for what I've done with it. Now let's jump to the inside, and I'll show you what I had in mind for mine. Every time I go camping, I either forget something happens, and I need to make gear repair. Whether it's to my coat, to my tent, guy line snaps, my tent poles snap. So let's go over what I put in here. And this is a gear kit, not just for tents, canopies, tarps, tents, shoes, electronics, anything that you have that may break. Is there a quick way we can kind of fix that if we're out there, right? Because what you have is what you carried in. What you bring camping is what's in your vehicle. A lot of times you don't have a lot of spares or if you do, it's not necessarily what you need. So let's get into what we have here. So on this side, we just have some good old super glue, right? You could use super glue for a lot of things. Having super glue, in my opinion, is important. Then, what I always carry in all my bags is some E6000 glue. This stuff is a little bit better than super glue because it doesn't really dry out, and there's a lot of different uses for E6000. I'm not going to go over all of them, but look up this and look at the uses. It's kind of like the WD-40 of glues. So look that up. And then I have broken tent poles before and had to rig them with tent stakes, had to try duct tape, and it works. But having a tent stake repair kit, which I have here, this is 2 different kits put together to make one, which this is your standard tent pole repair kit, right? You shove your tent pole in there, and if it broke, this will make it to where it's rigid again. And then you have these sleeves, which are all different diameters, which gives you 3 different diameter sleeves. And then what I like about these is heat shrink. So if your pole breaks, you can almost make a temporary fix. You put that in there, you heat it up, and it's going to seal around your pole, whether it's aluminum, fiberglass, carbon fiber. It'll shrink wrap around there so it won't slide off. This one is just going to keep it together by friction, basically. Just a quick fix, super light, something to carry. These others, it's more of a permanent fix. It's not just going to come apart as easy. And there's 2 of those sleeves in here, the heat shrink sleeves. This, I'll discuss what it's used for. I just stuck it in there because it was somewhere that it fit good in that tube, right? And it's just like a little putty knife, but we'll get into what that's for. Up here, you got to have a good supply of standard zip ties. You never know, fixing a strap on a backpack, anything like that. It's good to have zip ties. Then a couple small carabiners. Those can also be used to repair stuff. Or if you forget a carabiner and you're trying to make a rapid deployment ridgeline or something, you need an extra carabiner for that. You have a couple extra in this bag. And then this is the biggest thing, and this is where I've ordered some more. I just don't have them all yet. But these are the most common size buckles on my bags. So in case I break a buckle, I've got replacement buckles. That's a sternum strap buckle with a little whistle on it. And then some of the kind that if they're sewed onto your bag, these are super easy, right? Break off the one you've got, shove this one through your little, say for instance, you have something like this, right? Where you don't want to cut it and unstitch it. You just shove that through there, compress it back, and now you've replaced your strap, right? Without having to cut your bag and re-sewing it out there in the field. Super, super cool to have some of these guys if if you're hiking and stuff like that and your bag breaks down. And then just one standard buckle, because a lot of times these prongs are what breaks. I do have some other buckles that fit another bag that I have that none of these does, or none of these will. So I've ordered those to add to this part of the kit because I think it's just necessary to have a way to fix your backpack, bag, anything with buckles. So having some extra buckles goes in really well. Now, I will say I've seen some. They have these universal replacement zippers. It's just to get you back in the fight, and you basically can just open it, shove it in, close it, and you've got a zip. So I will put some of those in here too, in case you pull break the zipper on your backpack bag or something vital like a jacket, right? You're out in the cold, your jacket zipper breaks, and your whole chest area where you want to hold your core temperature is now exposed. Yes, you can use duct tape. I've done it, and make some duct tape straps that go all the way down it. to try to keep it closed, but anytime you move, it's going to open up in the gaps. So you try to tend to pull it over itself like this, then tape it. Hey, that works until you got to take it off. So adding a replacement zipper in there will be something I do. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for this main side, right? Now the next side, man, just got some extra guy line and some toggles. Some dog bones, I'll latch it down. Why not, right? They fit good here. I've broke some because, you know, sometimes your tents, you throw it in a pack, you use it once a year, whatever your case may be. I use mine a little bit more often. I've replaced a lot of my guidelines with Kevlar actual guy rope. But just to have some extra cordage, extra guy lines, nothing wrong with that for your tent, for your situation. Then we have some seam sealant, which, oh no, I'm sorry. This is the actual adhesive for patches. So if you have any, you can't really see those, but these are clear plastic patches. So if you have any air mattresses or rafts or anything like that pop a hole, this is a good way to fix it and make it airtight. You can use duct tape, you can use stuff like that, but that just holds air in longer than if you didn't have the tape on there, right? It's still going to lose air, just not as fast. This will make a repair to where you're not losing air. We just have some micro cordage. You can never go wrong with some cordage. Because there's a lot you can actually, if you don't have time to do a fix, you can tie it together. And of course, my little bobbin trick, I just put it on the little sewing bobbins that keeps it on there. You can always find out where your tail end is. It's already nice, has a slit, so I know I could go there, unwrap the stuff. I'm not trying to figure out where the knot is or whatever. It's wrapped around there. And then here, it's where I just got my 1-inch Gorilla Tape. And that's about 5 feet. So, plenty Gorilla Tape. Tape goes a long way. If you're, say for instance, wearing a down jacket. Down jackets, going through the woods, great for keeping you warm. Horrible for walking through shrubs because they rip and tear pretty easy. So, tossing a piece of Gorilla Tape over where you've ripped it apart and the insulation's coming out, the down's coming out. Quick fix. And then I just have the Ecotech rip spool, right? These things are great to have if you want a kind of all-in-one kit. Because you've got your tape here, you've got your string there. I'll show you how much tape you have. That's a whole small roll of tape, right? There's a lot of tape on this rip spool. And then you have your needle that's stowed in the top. So this thing's basically a roll of duct tape and a roll of thread put together into one tool with a needle in the middle. And a small little lanyard to carry it. My dog's barking at. It's got to be Amazon. Probably dropping off a package so we can do another review. But that's a rip spool. I keep it in here. Good to have. Now, in here is just some high strength thread for fixing mesh on tents, fixing a rip in a tent, whatever. They came in a tent repair kit. That's what they're for. But you can use them for anything. Sewing your pants, doing whatever. I put them in here because they're small and it's good thread. I'm going to take all this stuff out. Now, tent poles. A lot of tent poles have what? Elastic that runs through the middle. Have you ever broke the elastic? What happens? Now you have a bunch of individual tent poles that don't stay together very well if you're trying to pitch a tent. So having replacement elastic goes a long way when you're trying to repair tent poles that are aluminum or fiberglass that have the elastic to break down tent poles. So having some extra of that in here is critical. Behind that are my gear patches, right? Tent patches, extra netting, or screen. So for doors, for mosquito netting, more gear patches. So these are great for pants. They're ripstop patches, gear aid patches. These things are a lifesaver if you rip pants or anything like that. You can sew them, which is, to me, better than taping them, especially on pants. But a tent, if your tent gets ripped, a tree branch falls, rips the side of your tent, it's pouring down rain, you can get back in the fight. These things will hook to your tent and stay and make it watertight again. So a little kit like that goes a long way. Being able to replace any mesh on your tent or on your doors of your tent, your mosquito netting on a hammock, anything like that, you can make a repair. You just put a little bit of this glue on there, cut you a little square out where the rip is, get you a new piece, glue it back on. It'll be there for a long time. It's a serviceable repair. It doesn't automatically mean you got to replace it when you get back. You can make a good, solid, permanent repair. And the last thing we have in this bag is, just open this up. These are just some glow-in-the-dark little dog bones for guy lines. I put some in. They break. Sometimes I lose them. It's good to have. There's some other ones. These are the kind that you actually... I like these the best because as your rope goes through there, it automatically tightens. So all you do is you pull your rope through, then you push it up like this, and you can pull it back out. Super useful. The directions to... There's some directions in here on how to fix a tent pole if you break it. I just put those in these Ziploc bags. So you kind of, if you don't know, if you've never fixed one, you have an idea. And then I ran 2 extra needles. Or 2 extra needles came through that set of directions. So you have some extra needles in there as well. Which, keep them in the Ziploc bag because, hey, they're paper. But if you have this in your bag and you need a fire extender or some toilet paper, hey, you got some instructions there. And then the last part are these fabric and mesh repair patches. These I just bought separately outside of some of these other kits. And they're good to have. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. It was brand new. I've never opened it. So we'll open it up and show y'all. These are actually stickers. So these things are great. It sticks right on. It's got this nice rubber backing, which you can also... That would probably be a good fire extender because it's got like a rubberized coating. So you can peel this off and stick it back on. But if you're going to be patching up the door and the mosquito netting on your tent, or the bug netting, it's going to stay on there once you put it on there. But 4 of those, and then this is just the patches. So you get 4 patches, which are 3-inch circles. You get 2 black, 2 clear. The one thing that I don't have in here that I do have is, I thought it was in here. I guess I didn't put it in here, but I have some seam sealant that I'm going to add to this kit. That is something I think is one of the more, I guess, important things you can have in this kit is some good seam sealant. You never know when your tent's going to spring a leak. And when you really need it to be waterproof, that's the worst time to find out that it's not, is when you're out there and you're miles and miles and miles away from your car, away from a place to go. You're out, hiking and now your tent sprung a leak and everything that you're trying to keep dry has a potential to keep wet. Carrying some seam sealant, in my opinion, is a must anytime you go camping, hiking, anywhere that you're actually bringing a tent that you have the potential of it getting wet or raining or snow, whatever. You want to be able to keep the water out of your tent. So throwing in a pack of seam sealant is pretty important. And I just put that rip spool down there because it helps hold this gear aid tape in one spot. Then you can just kind of play with it, guys. Everything fits. This pouch, I don't even have it completely packed. I mean, there's still room. You can see how much more stuff I could shove in here if I wanted to. It's Saturday, guys. Most of my neighbors have their lawn people mowing their lawn, so my dogs are definitely going to bark. They think they shouldn't be here. The only other thing that I was going to add to this is some tent stakes. I have broken tent stakes. I have forgot tent stakes. So actually go back, we don't even have it out yet. We're still editing. We went on a 4-day camp trip. We're still editing that footage. And literally the bag that I wanted to make sure I brought the most, which was spare rope and my tent stake bag with my hammer, was all in one bag that I carry every time we go camping. I found it in a bin in the garage. I'm like, that definitely has to go. It's all our extra tent stakes, guy lines, rope, everything that we would need is in there. A pair of pliers and a small hammer. Totally forgot it. So luckily I had my old, what I called my camping possibles bag that had some extra tent stakes, stuff like that. Actually, I have it here. This was my old bag that I carried, that I would carry with me, that had those extra guidelines in. Just some extra tent stakes. Some extra vinyl adhesive. And a lot of the stuff that was in this bag, or a lot of stuff that was in this bag, was in this bag. And I hated always, this was a good bag, Harbor Freight bag. I just hated having to dig in this thing, right? It's always what you need is always at the bottom. So you got to either take everything out or dump it out or dig through it. It worked, but not like this. These are the tent stakes I have in here. The reason I didn't put them in there is these are the 8-inch tent stakes. I want to put some 6-inch tent stakes in here that I can put in these front pockets. Probably about 6 of them. Or put them inside. There's plenty of room. I mean, look at this. I can smush it. What I like about Maxpedition is most people, when they pack a Maxpedition bag, they pack it. These things are like never ending almost on how far they'll expand and how much gear you could shove in them. But anyways, guys, that's what I chose to put in mine. Let me know, what else would have you put in here? Think about gear. Another thing I'm putting in here, I forgot to mention, is a tube of shoe goo. Because if you're hiking and the outsole comes off the bottom of your shoe, you know, like in the front where they always come open and it starts talking to you when you're walking, hey, grab some shoe goo, put it in there, wrap a piece of the tape around, just enough to where it makes a good adhesion, and then later in camp when you throw your flip-flops on and you're pitched your tent, just put some super glue or some of the E6000 around the outside, and man, you've made a repair. You should be able to continue hiking without having to stop somewhere and get a new pair of shoes. So I'll put some of that in there. What ideas do you have? Think about gear, backpacks, water bottles, whatever it is that's essential to your hiking trip, your camping trip, your hunting trip. What gear or gear repair stuff could I put in here? I want to cover all my bases. I want to make sure I'm covered tents, backpacks, clothing, shoes, etc. What out there that I don't know of would be good for this bag? Leave me that in the comments, guys. And always remember, 3 ways to support the channel: Whitty's Gear, buy me a coffee, memberships. We still struggle at those because I don't really push it. If y'all want to help out, that's great. That allows us to get more gear to make more videos so y'all can watch. And like, share, subscribe, click all them notifications. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you would add, what you wouldn't add. Do you have a Maxpedition bag? If so, which one? I have 2. I have this one and my tool bag. Anyways, guys, love y'all. See you on the next one.